I want to make a little interjection at this point, um, and talk a little bit about an idea that you may have heard of, a concept called transhumanism. Transhumanism is the idea that human beings can, or in some cases, that they should, um, evolve beyond their current limitations, or that we ought to use science and technology in such a way as to spur on uh, our evolution beyond our current limitations. I've been reading this little book here, and I'll tell you, so far I'm not terribly persuaded by it. But Beyond Humanity by Alan Buchanan. He seems to be a smart person here, but I'm not, at least yet, persuaded by the arguments. But there is an interesting argument that I think we ought to entertain. I'm not sure that this is a convincing one, but at least as a hypothetical, here is an argument that we that we might that we might consider, and I'll be reading from the first couple of pages here of Buchanan's book. He writes, "Human action has shaped human biology and altered the genome as long as there have been human beings. A series of non biomedical enhancements of human capacities, from the agrarian revolution to the emergence of cities and political institutions to advances in transportation technologies, has triggered processes of natural selection and mixed previously isolated gene pools. The human organism is not a finely balanced whole because evolution does not create harmonious, complete organisms. Instead, it produces tentative, changing, perishing, cobbled together ad hoc solutions to transient design problems with blithe disregard for human well being. Nature is not wise or unwise, and evolution is not like a master engineer." Now, it seems to me that Buchanan is making a really good point that species are not static, they are dynamic. Um, I think it's clear that there are no platonic forms of catness or hoarseness that really exist um, in in a platonic heaven, and that that these are not forms that are eternal and immutable and invisible, as Plato suspected. Um, but I wonder if we're conflating a couple of things here. Yeah, it's true. Farmers have always tinkered with their crops and with livestock. We have bred dogs for human purposes, to serve human purposes, right? Um, is there a difference between that and say between Monsanto patenting a genetically modified form of life, creating a new kind of seed and patenting that thing, or creating, uh, a pig tomato, a tomato with a pig gene, or growing a headless chicken. Um, I wonder if some of these are passive and some are active forms of of evolution. Um, there is another thing that this author talks about later in the book, that I thought was a really profound point. He thinks that there is a pretty recent technology that has completely transformed human beings. And I'm pretty sure that he's right about this. And that's the internet, or our use of the internet, our use of computers in the digital age. Uh, I was born in 1971, and I remember pretty distinctly my my analog life. Uh, I started. I think I emailed for the first time around 1993, and that was an email with an intranet system at Ball State University, and I could, email with other folks at Ball State University. I started using the internet in earnest. I don't know, maybe around 1996. So I was about 25 years old. So I lived about half my life before the internet was, a big thing, and about half my life after. I think that the way that I think, um, the way I process information, the kinds of things that I feel like I need to know, um, all of this has radically changed, in the last 15 or 20 years. Um, so I don't know that I'm asking a very precise question here. What I'm getting at is, are we living a kind of transhumanism already? Um, has the human species been altered permanently and forever because of the technology, the internet? And is there a difference between the way that this sort of happened uh, and actively choosing it? Because even those who actively chose to promote the internet and move more and more things online perhaps never suspected the kinds of changes to human beings. So again, don't stray too far from that question that was asked, more than 2,500 years ago, um, about the ship of Theseus. Uh, what is it that makes a thing a thing? Is it the material of which it is composed? Is it the essence of a thing? Is it the story of a thing? Um, are we, like Plato and Descartes, suspected a dualist sort of being, a combination of a mind or a spirit and a body? Um, anyway, just a few more random thoughts for you to play around with in your head.